The HOA Tyrant and the Soldier's Justice. In the quiet suburb of Maple Grove, where manicured lawns and picket fences promised the American dream, a darkness festered beneath the surface. Daniel Harper, a retired Marine, thought he'd found peace when he moved there with his pregnant wife, Emily. But Patricia Conway, the iron-fisted president of the Homeowners Association, had other plans. Her obsession with control would ignite a tragedy that would change Daniel's life forever and spark a battle that would shake the neighborhood to its core. Daniel and Emily arrived in Maple Grove with dreams of raising their daughter, soon to be named Grace, in a safe, idyllic community. The streets were lined with children riding bikes, and neighbors waved from porches. Emily, 6 months pregnant, rested her hand on her belly as she smiled at Daniel. "This is it, Dan. Our fresh start." After years of deployments in war zones, Daniel craved stability. But the perfection of Maple Grove felt too polished, too enforced. The source of that control was Patricia Conway, a woman in her late 50s with sharp eyes and a smile as cold as winter. Patricia greeted them on their first day, clipboard in hand. "Welcome to Maple Grove. We maintain high standards here to protect property values. I'm sure you'll comply." Daniel's instincts, honed from years in the Marines, flagged her immediately. Her politeness masked a hunger for dominance. 3 days later, a letter arrived. Their mailbox was non-compliant and needed replacement, or they'd face a $200 fine. Emily chuckled. "It's just a mailbox, Dan." But Daniel saw it for what it was: Patricia's first move in a game of control. The letters piled up. Their car was parked 15 inches from the curb instead of the mandated 12, incurring a $100 fine. Their roses were the wrong shade of red. An oil stain on their driveway cost them $150. Each time, Emily, exhausted from pregnancy, urged Daniel to pay and avoid conflict. "Let's just get through this, Dan. For Grace." But the stress was etching lines into Emily's face, and Daniel's anger grew. When Emily was 7 months pregnant, Patricia's visits became personal. She'd appear at their door, clipboard in hand, nitpicking everything. Their garden hose was visible, their doormat was unapproved, their grass was a quarter-inch too long. One morning, she pushed past Emily, inspecting their living room. "These curtains clash with the neighborhood aesthetic," she snapped. Emily, still in pajamas and battling morning sickness, was humiliated. "I didn't know our furniture had to match everyone else's," she said. Patricia's reply was icy. "Some people just don't belong in Maple Grove." The worst came when Patricia questioned Emily's pregnancy. "Some women fake pregnancies to shirk HOA duties," she said, demanding medical records. Emily was speechless, her hands trembling as she recounted the visit to Daniel. "She's not just cruel, Dan. She's dangerous." Daniel began documenting every interaction, sensing they'd need evidence. Patricia's visits grew relentless, her complaints absurd. Daniel's truck was too aggressive for the neighborhood. Their porch light was too bright. Emily, once vibrant, grew quiet, her hands always on her belly as if shielding Grace. One October evening, Daniel was at the Marine base for a late training session when Emily called, sobbing. Patricia had issued a $500 fine for leaving Grace's stroller in the driveway for over an hour. "She called us trash, Dan. She said we don't belong here." Daniel's blood boiled. "I'm going to her house," he said, but Emily begged him to wait. "What if she twists it and gets you arrested? I need you here when Grace comes." Reluctantly, Daniel agreed to consult a lawyer the next day. It was the last promise he'd make to Emily. That night, at 11:30 p.m., Daniel's phone rang. It was their neighbor, Mrs. Sharma. "Your house is on fire, Daniel. I called 911, but I haven't seen Emily." Daniel sped home, weaving through traffic, his heart pounding. When he arrived, flames engulfed their home. Firefighters restrained him as he screamed, "My wife's in there. She's pregnant." The fire chief's words crushed him. No one could have survived. Emily and Grace were gone, along with Daniel's world. The next morning, Detective Alvarez confirmed the fire was arson. Someone used gasoline. This was murder. Daniel knew instantly: Patricia. He shared the HOA letters and Patricia's harassment, but her alibi, corroborated by her book club, held firm. Mrs. Sharma mentioned seeing a gray SUV near the house that night. Patricia drove a gray SUV. Still, the police lacked evidence. At Emily and Grace's funeral, Patricia approached Daniel, her voice dripping with false sympathy. Such a tragedy. But as she walked away, her smirk betrayed her. Daniel vowed to bring her down. Taking leave from the Marines, Daniel rented an apartment across town and turned it into a war room. Using his military skills, he dug into Patricia's past. She was 56, twice divorced, her ex-husband citing cruelty and harassment. One, living in Arizona, whispered, "She's unhinged. She destroyed my life." Daniel uncovered a pattern. 5 families had fled Maple Grove after accidents linked to Patricia's complaints. A family's pool was poisoned, another's garage burned, and another's pipes were sabotaged. Each time, Patricia had targeted newcomers who challenged her rules. Daniel's breakthrough came when he hacked Patricia's emails, revealing her payments to Carl Dempsey, a handyman with a white van marked Carl's Fixes. Emails detailed Carl's jobs contaminating pools, starting fires, breaking pipes. One email, sent the day before the fire, read, "The Harpers are still here. The wife's due soon. Make it look like an accident. $5,000 bonus." Daniel's hands shook with rage, but he needed confessions. For weeks, Daniel tailed Patricia and Carl, learning their routines. Carl was sloppy, a drunk who gambled away his earnings at a dive bar. Patricia was meticulous, her life a rigid schedule of jogs, violation hunts, and HOA letters. Using covert skills, Daniel planted listening devices in their homes. He overheard Patricia and Carl plotting to poison a new family's dog. "The neighborhood's better without troublemakers," Patricia said. Carl laughed, "Like the Harpers?" Daniel's resolve hardened. He targeted Carl first, confronting him outside the bar. "I know you killed my wife," Daniel said, playing a recorded call. Carl crumpled, sobbing. It was Patricia's idea. She said the house would be empty. Daniel forced Carl to call Patricia, claiming he was scared and needed cash to skip town. They agreed to meet at Oakwood Park at midnight. Daniel hid nearby, recording as Patricia arrived. "There's no evidence," she snapped at Carl's panic. The Harpers were trash. Their kid would have been the same. Daniel stepped out, phone in hand. "It's over, Patricia." Her face twisted with hatred. "You think you're clever? Your wife's dead, and you're nothing." Police, tipped off by Daniel, swarmed the park. Patricia was arrested. The trial was a spectacle. Daniel's recordings and emails left the jury stunned. Carl testified, detailing Patricia's orders to burn the Harper home. Victims of Patricia's past schemes, families driven out by her accidents, shared their stories. Patricia's defense claimed mental illness, but the prosecution painted her as a calculated killer. She decided who belonged in Maple Grove. The prosecutor thundered and murdered a mother and child to enforce her vision. The jury took 2 hours to convict Patricia of first-degree murder and conspiracy. She received life without parole. Carl got 25 years. At sentencing, Patricia spat at Daniel, "You ruined Maple Grove." But Daniel felt a flicker of peace. Outside, he told reporters, "Emily and Grace are gone, but Patricia will never hurt another family." At their graves, he whispered, "I got them, Em. They're done." Daniel sold the lot and moved, but his fight wasn't over. Shocked by stories of HOA abuse nationwide, he founded Fair Neighborhoods, a nonprofit to combat corrupt HOAs. With fellow Marines and pro